Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to our Master Sha Tao Centre Sydney Facebook page. Welcome to the community that follows this page, and welcome you to our special live session today with guest teacher Hui Ling. And we're introducing you to Hui Ling because she is such a powerful teacher, and she is joining us next weekend for a unique workshop called Follow the Inspiration of Kuan Yin, Ignite Your Heart of Creativity and Compassion. So today I'm going to introduce you to Hui Ling, and Lex and myself are going to be asking her some questions so you get a little bit of a feel of Hui Ling's background and the passion and inspiration in her heart in offering this workshop and the teachings and empowering people with creativity and compassion. So some of you watching live right now may know of Hui Ling, others may be connecting and meeting her for the first time, and even myself and Lex. So, myself and Lex are some of the leading teachers at the Master Sha Tao Centre in Sydney. And there's 12 of these Master Sha Tao Centre in Sydney, Tao Centres around the world. And Hui Ling's one of the leading teachers at the centre in San Francisco. And, she has an incredible background in how she has cultivated herself, both educationally and in many, many different modalities and ways that she's trained to be of positive service and benefit to others and on Mother Earth. And I'm actually going to share a link to her bio in the chat box soon because, I really encourage you to read more about Hui Ling and her background. Big hello to those that are watching here live. Please say hello in the chat box. Let us know where you're joining from. And feel free to ask questions as well during our live session. So just to give you a little background into Hui Ling, she has a PhD in interdisciplinary studies, and she is very passionate about the welfare of animals and the environment and the well-being of Mother Earth. Spirituality, yoga, plant medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, Tibetan, Buddhist teachings, and more. And she firmly believes in the power of soul for self-renewal, as well as the importance of helping and serving others. And that when we can join our hearts and souls together as one, we can bring profound renewal and love, peace, and harmony to Mother Earth. So she is very empowered, inspired, powerful human being, and we've been very inspired connecting with her over these last few weeks, planning this upcoming workshop. So I'm going to bring Hui Ling on now so you can meet her, so we can all chat with her. So welcome, Hui Ling. So lovely to host you today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. It's my great honor to be here, and I can feel the energy that we're gonna have so much fun next weekend and even tonight. So it's a great honor to be here. So hello, everyone.
She mentioned tonight because it is actually late at night for her on the other side of the world.
It's in the morning, your morning.
Yeah, we're in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
So, Hui Ling, I was going to start because, obviously this workshop is called Follow the Inspiration of Kuan Yin. And, we are a Master Sha Tao Centre, but we very much, we honour all religions, belief systems, pathways. We don't teach religion as per se. But I guess if people have heard of Kuan Yin, they would relate to her being part of Buddhism or part of religion. So I just actually, as a starting point, could you share with us what is your personal connection with Kuan Yin? What is the significance?
Mm-hmm. Great. Guan Yin, it's a Chinese term which literally translate as the one that can hear and see. Yin means the sound. So she is the the spiritual mother, the universal spiritual mother who sees and hear our sufferings and our calling for help and come to help us in many, many different ways with compassion and creativities and more. And I know that a lot of people connect her to the Buddhism tradition, but in fact, she is really well respected also in other traditions. Like, in Taiwan, where I grew up, we are kind of like this big melting pot. We honor so many different spiritualities um, and sometimes even you go to a church, you see they have a Guan Yin statue, or you go to a Taoist temple, they have a Guan Yin statue. There is actually a saying that like Guan Yin is everywhere, like every household honor Guan Yin. So in fact, she is really a universal spiritual mother of love and compassions. Uh, for some people, they connect to Mother Mary, and some people connect to Guan Yin. And I have had a very special connection with Guan Yin since I was young, or actually before I was born. My mother was born with a heart conditions, so she was told that since she was very young, that she would be uh, it will be very rare for her to live over 20 years old because she has a incomplete heart valve. And so really like when she was in her 20s and she started to get really, really weak. She used to be like really, really athletics and runners. And in her 20s, her heart condition really got worse. And my mother was actually trained as a nurse in the missionary hospital. She did not know about Guan Yin, but she was really dying. So one of the patients in the hospital said, there's this Guan Yin temples not far from here. You should go to pray to her. And out of desperations, my mother went, and she was actually not even able. She was so weak that she wasn't even able to walk there. That she actually had people carry her to that little hills, and there's this little temple. And she prayed and prayed, and for the whole day she stayed in the temple. And she told me that because I asked her why she was always chanting Guan Yin's names, and she said by the end of that day she actually walked down the hill herself, and she could not believe it was a miracle that she experienced herself. And that's why she started to chant Guan Yin's name. So honestly, without Guan Yin, I wouldn't be here because my mother would have transited before she met my dad. So that's my connection, like even before I was born. And then, of course, like in Taiwan, really, it's not just the Buddhist the traditions. All the different spiritual tradition honor her because of her compassion and her wisdoms and her love and her vow to liberate all the sentient being. And so who wouldn't want to have a spiritual mother like that? So there are so many things, in Taiwan where I grew up, like children's book, movies, TV shows. So I just, love to read about her when I was young because she saved my mother. And so then as I, grew older, as I started learning a little bit more, and now of course learn from Master Sha's and learn more deeper wisdom, and also her abilities, and her unconditional service, which I really didn't know. When I was young, I always call Guan Yin during the exam. I always ask Guan Yin to help me to choose the best answer. And she always helped me. So my mother always said that I'm the child in my home, in my family, who studied less, but I had the best exam luck. That's because I always ask Guan Yin. Of course, now I know it's not very respectful, but sorry, Guan Yin, but she really, really had helped me when I grew up. It's just like this, like guardian angels in a way. Yeah.
Mm. Thank you for sharing about your life and your family, and that's really, I guess, gives a beautiful teaching and example of how someone like your mum, didn't grow up with Kuan Yin or in that tradition of following Kuan Yin as a spiritual mother, but in the way that her life was going, she was brought to Kuan Yin and directly received, healing and light and a miracle from Kuan Yin. So that would, that's kind of, what I think about as well, because I grew up in a Christian family home and I'd never heard of Kuan Yin until maybe 14 years ago, and I saw a plaque, her image on a plaque, and my heart just I felt like my heart went out of my chest. Like it was just like all of a sudden I felt this mother-daughter connection and this love, like just a really, I guess a beyond human reality connection. I didn't understand it, but it was there. And I guess in relation to what we're talking about today and our upcoming workshop, Follow Kuan Yin's Inspiration, for someone that, may not be a spiritual seeker or, connected to Buddha teachings, but they very much have a desire, a deep calling in their heart to make a difference. Because I believe actually there are many, many, many people, not just in our country, all around the world, that have a very strong calling at this time to do humanitarian work, to volunteer, to offer and contribute positively to their communities and to Mother Earth, because they know it is needed. So what is a bridge for them? Like if they don't know about Kuan Yin or have a spiritual connection, what is a bridge for them to say, well, this is how Kuan Yin can actually help inspire you in your everyday life, in your circumstances, how you want to serve and positively contribute? That was a long question. Good luck.
That is a great question, and thank you for sharing how you connect to Guan Yin. There's definitely this like very deep heart connections that it's kind of like a mysterious that it's not like from your like you grow up with that traditions. I think that is also kind of how we can connect to Guan Yin, because whether we know her or not, like my mother's, she is this spiritual mother that as long as we are willing to call her for help, then she will come to inspire us. Basically, she will offer us, whether it's inspirations or healings or just love or compassion, just this like presence of light. Guan Yin is well known for her compassions, and for her love and her service unconditionally. So unconditional is important. It means that it doesn't matter if you know hers or not, as long as you open your heart. And this is why how do we follow the inspiration of Guan Yin? is we need to open our heart. And open our heart to what? To her qualities of compassion. And I believe that's in everyone that you mentioned, and is especially now around the world, that everybody feel this deep, deep callings, or even something they don't know how to describe it, but they just feel that I need to do something, or I want to do something. Because so many people or animals or the environments or children's or are sufferings. And when you have that thought, that means the compassion in you is awakened. That means that you already have a seed that you can bring the positive transformations to the world. But then often we get stuck on, but how I'm going to do it. I have this desire, or I have the thought, I have this feel this calling that I want to bring some positive change or bring more love and light and hope to the world. But how can I do it? And so there's this very unique things about Kuan Yin, that Kuan Yin is also well known, have so many different manifestations. In different traditions, she can appear differently, and in fact, it is well known that she can manifest in all kind of forms, kind of like a shape shiftings, based on who is in front of her and how to best support or serve the being. It not necessarily a human being. It could be animals. It could be a forest, like forests, and or it could be a mountain. So Kuan Yin is known of her manifestations in so many different forms, and probably some of you are familiar with her as this beautiful feminine representations, with the white robe or beautiful clothings, and this really kind and compassionate mother. But she also had those form like at four arms, the masculine form, like this powerful Buddha, or the thousand hands, thousand eyes, this really magnificent presence. And so this, in fact, is Kuan Yin's creativities. Depends on how and who she is serving. Then she manifests in that different form. So we could say that Kuan Yin's creativity is rooted from her compassion. So the key is, how do I best serve who is in front of me? And so I found that is really an inspiration that I just recently like, wow, I never thought about that, but that is what it is, at least to me.
Yeah, look, it's actually, I feel it's a really, really potent topic, particularly in Australia right now, but obviously globally as well. And I've just bought Lexon. Just to off what you said, Hui Ling, because in Australia in the last few weeks we've had major natural disaster events, like the worst flooding events in northern parts of the state, our state, New South Wales, and in Queensland. A lot of devastation and destruction, and I've been witnessing how that has ignited compassion and brought people's true nature of compassion out more, and how that has then fully influenced and driven their inspiration of how they've jumped into action. Like in the northern area of New South Wales, because that's where I grew up, I've seen all these people just jump into action straight away in all these different ways of how they can help, because everyone's got different skills, backgrounds, but it's actually been beautiful to witness people using their skills and backgrounds and thinking, okay, how can I use what I've got and jump into action and bring positive transformation here? Because it doesn't have to be one way or one flavor. So yeah, I think that connection between compassion when it really erupts in the heart and how that gets actioned and the many different ways and layers it can according to inspiration, I think that's, yeah, just really, really relevant to the times that we're in. Lex, did you want to comment?
Absolutely. Thank you, Hui Ling, for sharing. Hui Ling, just with the with the workshop, I know we're talking about this aspect of creativity, service, and more. In terms of your personal experience, can you share any examples where Kuan Yin's creativity, how you've adopted that and applied that in your service?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Of course, what we are sharing, the workshop is always what had worked for ourselves. That's why we want to share. And for me, I am a big fan of stock up our toolbox. So over the years, you see from my bio that I learned so many different things because I want to learn as many tools as possible. Because, I never know who I'm going to meet. And also, even like with the family members, my mother, she's still now very healthy and in her 80s, but in her 70s, and she had a major health conditions. And again, her life was safe through the spiritual blessings. And but the time that when I was with her in the hospital, I flew back, and because it was really serious, basically the doctor said, if there's any family members that you need to see, you need to call them. So I flew back, and so during the time when I was there, this was actually before I met Master Shah. I just realized that the most important things in my life is actually learned about different tools that I could serve. I could like offer healings or in any way to support my loved ones and also myself, because when I was in a hospital I saw so many sufferings, and there are like all walks of life, and people from young people, children to senior. And that's kind of like why I started to learn all of this. But then then it's kind of, you're always learning something, but then it's always like something is missing. So until I started, I met Master Sha and I learned deeper about Guan Yin's and her compassions, and through the technique, which I'm going to share, we are going to share with the participant, very simple techniques that we can simply connect with her and ask her for guidance. And we can also, through using the Tao calligraphies, to deepen that connections and receive message. And then it's like I have a magical toolbox. I no longer need to put more tool in my box. It's like I just had this magical toolbox that whenever I have a situations or I have someone that needs my support come to me, I can, through the practice I've been doing, that I can connect to Guan Yin and ask for guidance, or I could use, mantras or calligraphy to connect to her feel. So in a way that it's like I become part of her creativities of service. I don't know if that makes sense. That it's basically um, uh, connecting to Guan Yin's compassions, and also have being inspired by how she served all of those amazing stories. What I will share this next weekend will particularly be a few example of this 33 Guan Yin, the 33 different manifestations, and just reading those stories that I feel so inspired, because they're not just stories, they actually are wisdoms, and it's like wisdom in actions, that through reading it's like, oh, actually this is what I can do also, if I had someone had the situations, or when there is a situation, my things just involve one party, but in fact we cannot really bring the best to everybody involved until we see a bigger picture. So the more I'm learning about Guan Yin's compassion and her creativities in serving, it inspired me to see, okay, this is a different perspective, and I start to apply that into, my teachings, my service, even the healings or consultations, and that is what I'm doing mostly now. And also in everyday life, with the family relationship, that I can apply those, and kind of just being surprised and inspired, because often I might have an idea, but when I actually connect to Guan Yin, and which is actually very simple, and it doesn't matter if you are a Buddhist or not. Like I said earlier, she is a universal spiritual mother. That as long as our heart is open to connect to her, and we apply very simple technique that Master Sha has shared with us, the 6 power techniques, uh, we can actually make a deeper connections with her, and we can ask her like we have a teacher or a guide in front of us, that we can say, hey, I have this project, or I wanted to uh, make some changes, or I want to serve this group. Can you guide me, or can you show me inspirations, or in whatever way that I can receive? And and sometimes you might see, like you might receive those messages yourself. Some people channels are open, or sometimes it could be like Guan Yin might send someone, like someone might just suddenly call me and say, hey, I just read this article and I just thought about you. And I was like, wow, it's like someone I have not, uh, in contact for a long time. And or sometimes that also happen like the other way around. Someone might said to me that they have a really feeling really stuck, and then they ask going for help, and then somehow they uh, decide to email me, and then I said, okay, then I was able to also help them with the what they are looking for through connecting to Guan Yin. Yeah.
Wonderful. Just listening the word inspiration. I know in my humanness, I can be very squared in terms of how to do things and be very rigid. And I know this aspect of creativity is such a powerful quality on how we can do things. I guess hearing you share, what also touches my heart is, I know years ago I didn't think it was possible to make such a significant connection to anyone. Like I was raised Catholic, so it was Jesus and it was Mary. I knew very little about other religions or spiritual traditions, but this aspect of being able to connect and being able to be supported and inspired by someone, for example, Kuan Yin, for me was mind-blowing, because as I share to people, I just felt like a tax file number. Very much I thought, there's no way, whether it's God or Jesus, how they don't have time for me because there's so many people. But I guess this is the human thinking. So it's very exciting to know that we can learn these tools and these teachings with you to not only establish these connections, but really make a huge difference in helping people, which for me, helping people is wonderful. It's so wonderful to be able to help people to put a smile on their face and more. Hui Ling, I'm watching the time, but I've got one more question I'd love to ask you. And if you were to sort of summarize, your journey, I guess, sort of to date, and there were 3 tips, or let's say tips is probably the best way to articulate it, in terms of what could you share, with our group here today, in terms of significant learnings or teaching, something that all of us could possibly apply or grow from? It's a big question, but I'm sure, I think it'd be a wonderful take home for everyone here, just to hear your, thank you.
Great. Thank you for your sharing. And I just want to kind of comment on that. I grew up kind of like a semi-Buddhist, but it wasn't like a serious Buddhist follower, because in Taiwan, it's very like hybrid. We have so many different religions, and we have so many different traditions, and I mean, even our cuisine is just like it's just there's just so many mixture. I would say it was more like a way of life for me, and I actually had never before my 20, I never gone to a church or like monasteries, and but when I started this journey, like sort of my spiritual awakenings, when I was doing my PhD, because I really started from I need some way to help me to manage my stress. It wasn't even like a spiritual searching, but I started meditating, and I started to have visions. And one time I had this vision that Jesus came to me, which was blowing me away, because when I grew up, I know so little about Jesus, but it was such a profound experience that it really kind of cracked open my heart. It was a vision that I saw him was being like crucified, and I don't know why I was there, but I was bowing down on the floor, and there was also some people in front of me. And at that time, I had no connection with Jesus. But I look at him, like my heart is like, wow, what kind of suffering he's going through. And I also have this knowing that he was suffering for us, even though I know very little about Jesus. And I start to cry, in my visions. I was crying, and I start to apologize to him. And I said, I'm so sorry that we did this to you. I don't even know why I was doing that. And then he raised up his head, and he looked at me in my visions. I know it sounds crazy, and it was really kind of blowing my mind, because I just started this whole things of meditations. And he looked at me, and his eyes full of compassion, and he said to me, and my heart, I mean, even now I'm sharing this story, I can still feel that emotion. He looked at me and he said, heal yourself and heal others, and then you're healing me. And that was like, oh my God, I didn't really know a lot what he meant. Uh, I mean, mentally, I think I know, but now I know more. But that was the first time that Jesus came to me. And then I have some other visions that he came to teach me for about 2 years about forgiveness, which I had no idea I had so much I need to forgive. And so uh, then after that period, always in my visions at that time, always he will appear with Kuan Yin and Guru Ramdas, which is from a saying from the Sikh tradition. And I was trained as a Kundalini yoga teacher, so I learned a little bit about that. So I was always surprised they always appear together. So one time in my vision, I just kind of in my mind thinking, why three of you always, appear together? And Jesus just said to me, we're all friends. We all work as a team. And this was before I met Master Sha. So I guess that could be one of to answer, to kind of bridge into your question, is to have an open heart, because we never know what our connections has been. I know maybe some people don't believe like past life or, uh, you know, um, but I personally, I believe it because there are things that just like there's no way there must be another life, because how could I know about those things, or how could I feel this connection like what Mehdi shared, saw Guan Yin's images, and the heart is open, and that also then to open our heart and to allow ourselves to be inspired. So that's this kind of connect, but it is also a second thing is to let go and let God or let Guan, whatever that you connect to, or let Allah, whoever you connect to, is to let go what we believe or what we think is possible, and just open ourselves, be part of this greater force. So I often share that this whole journey for me, I don't know if I call it a spiritual journey or it's just a journey of life, that it's a journey of discovering myself. And I had never really think of myself as someone is creative because just the background I was trained, like, I grew up, it's all about passing exam, go to the best university. And so creativity does not connect with that. But then when I start to really let go and just allow myself to really kind of be a part of this greater presence, it could be the community or like a higher round, that the things start to open up. So it's a very interesting journey. The more I am on this journey, I am discovering who I am more and more. But then I'm also disappearing in that who I am, because then I see more clearly that I am part of this bigger network or fabric, like being waved into this this life, the bigger life. So that would be the second thing. And the third thing, you just be curious, and be curious, because this also lead to a very important thing connect to our workshop. Is sometimes some people might say, well, I don't feel particularly compassion that for, or I don't really think I matter, that I could create some changes in life. But I am an artist, or I am a musician, or I am a writer. I just want to learn to be more creative. Then you can still come, because we're going to talk about how when we're not being curious, but being critical or judgmental, which is lack of self-compassion, can actually block our creativities. So there are, in this 2 days workshop next weekend, whether you know Guan Yin or not, you are absolutely welcome to come to be curious about who Guan Yin is and Guan Yin's creativities, and to come to experience her compassions, or just come to ignite your passion for something that you have always wanted to do. Because think about the word compassions. There is that passion part, and so do not let the title kind of like, oh, this is not for me. I just would love to invite people to come to experience what we are going to offer to you. And whether you are searching for creativities, or you're curious about Guan Yin, or you want to deepen your compassions, you're all welcome. And we're going to share with you like very practical techniques and tool. And also, we're going to have fun, because fun is how creativity can flow. And I know that the Sydney Center will have some like follow-up sessions to continue to hold that space that we're going to co-create next weekend. Because a lot of time, what is I used to go to those shamanic ceremonies, or a healing circle with the elders, and I was really lucky to be invited, to be included in those, and to learn about the elders, their wisdoms. And what I realized is that it's amazing to be in those journeys during the ceremony. But the real ceremony and real journey start from after I leave there. How do I bring it back to my daily life? That's a real journey. So I know that after next weekend's workshop, that your journey will continue to be supported by the Sydney centers. There's going to be amazing space created, the feels that you can experience, that can continue your experience and further expand. And I know also that we're going to meet lots of great people, and to co-create this, like even like some project we might not even know that we are connected, or we have in mind, or in our heart. So
Hui Ling, I don't need to say anything else. That last answer was so comprehensive. When so many things were coming into my awareness in terms of your personal sort of sharing, the aspect with Jesus, and the heal yourself, heal others, heal me, just that in itself, the profoundness in that. There were so many things. It's like I can't. There were so many things that you just sort of shared there. Even just the opening the heart, this aspect of an open heart, which is so important. It's just because we can have in our humanness, our upbringings, whatever it is, these conditionings or mindsets that might not serve us. So this aspect of the open heart, and then I love the curious, the curiosity, because that sets off a chain reaction, and it's so wonderful, particularly to all our listeners, is whether you're coming in from this angle or you're coming in from this angle, there's something for everyone, because all of us are offering some kind of service. We talk about this word service. What is that? Like for me, services is just putting a smile on someone's face, or just helping them, however that is. And you have that musical background, you play music. Why do you play music? To serve people with, to relax them, whatever that is. But it's I'm really grateful how you just open it up to go, yes, it's called Kuan Yin, and yes, she's connected to Buddha and this or that, but also completely no, this can just ignite your heart in any way to move forward, to be inspired. So, I just went, that's just fantastic. You've just brought it all so beautifully together. I'm so happy that Maddie's back, because we had lost her. We've had some technical difficulties. That's why I wasn't on, and then Maddie was gone, and Maddie's back. But Maddie's back at the perfect time. So, but thank you so much for your time. We have gone a fair bit over. I'm very grateful for your time. I'm very much looking forward to this workshop. Very satisfied with the answers and things that I can sort of dwell upon after today. And I hope everyone's really enjoyed Hui Ling sharing. So I'm going to pass it back to my wife, Madeline, at this time. Thank you, Hui Ling.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hui Ling. I think my sound's very echoey, so Lex, you can close.
Okay, apologies for that. There seems to be a bit of a repeat there. So I know Maddie has shared just the details in the chat to join us next weekend, next Saturday and Sunday. So hope you've enjoyed today's session. Hope we have the opportunity to spend some time next weekend. And again, Hui Ling, thank you so much for your time today. And thank you, Maddie, and look forward to seeing you all very soon. Thank you, everyone.
May I actually offer let's say a loving prayers.
Absolutely.
So I know that Australia is like media share, and I also see in news there's a lot of communities in the north are suffering from the floods, and one of the special things about Kuan Yin service, and this is commonly believed, and there's many stories recorded throughout the histories about the power of chanting Kuan Yin's names that can help people to go through, some very challenging situation like fires and floods. So I want to invite all of you who are right now currently on, or all of you who are going to watch this. When you watch it, you can do this together. And let us just close our eyes for a moment and sit up tall and straight. You can put one hand below navel, one hand in your heart. And we just give our love and our light, our good wishes to those souls or peoples, animals, wildlife, the lands are being affected by the floods at this times. And we call Kuan Yin to offer her love and her compassions also to those communities are being affected at this time. And we will just chant her names. And again, this is something new to you. You can just simply listen and just noticing how you feel. When we are doing this together, we are opening our heart. We are starting to build a connection. And this is key for our compassion and our creativities. Nan mo guan shi ring pu san. 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 南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨。Let us take one long and deep inhale and slowly exhale, and just take 5 seconds to feel this connection. And in these connections of love and compassion, there is no time and space. It doesn't matter where we are. We can send love to Sydney's, to all the communities are being affected by the floods and fire this times. And that mantra, it's just a simple way how we can connect to Kuan Yin. And just noticing how your heart feels. That collectively, in such a simplistic way, we can send love and light. We can, bring a smile on someone's face in this way. So let us inhale deeply. And slowly exhale, and we can gently open our eyes. So that's what I want to end the sessions. And thank you so much for being here and inviting me, and everybody's here. That short moment was so powerful. I feel my heart is so open. And so that is just one simple technique or tools that you can learn next weekend. And we're going to share more. And I know this is going to be so beautiful and so transformative. And I cannot wait to be with all of you next weekend and to learn from each of you. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Hui Ling. That was thank you so much for doing that. That was very, very precious. You used the word simple technique, simple, but just I felt that pass straight through my body and my heart, and just how I'm feeling. As a result of that is very, very different to how I was feeling before that. So thank you so much for jumping in and sharing that. That was very, very precious. So thank you so much for your time. We've gone double the time we had today. So grateful. Again, hope everyone enjoyed it. So thank you on behalf of Madeline, myself, the Sydney Centre, and all those here present. Look forward to connecting with you next weekend. Thank you, Hui Ling. Thank you, Maddie.
Everyone, have a good day. Bye-bye.